So, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. Have a seat. Please. Not kidding.
You won't choose anyone's back.
This is actually a combination of two talks that I give in a larger format. And I thought there was useful information for Yellow Book in both of them, so I sort of put a little bit shorter talk together for the time that we have here. And I know we only have half an hour, but I can stay for a little bit to answer questions at the end if you guys want. So the title of this talk is Luck, Focus, Hypnosis and You. And people always have that person they know that can never do anything wrong, right? Like, oh, I stumbled on the curb and there was a $100 bill laying there. And you're like, how does that happen, right? How can that person be so lucky? I bought 10 scratch tickets and all 10 of them were winners. You just don't, you can't fathom it. But there are actually steps that you can take and things that you can do to make yourself more lucky. Believe it or not. And I will tell you how that's possible. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, what does hypnosis have to do with that? Well, first of all, you guys go into hypnosis several times a day without even knowing it. So if you're sitting at your computer screen, and I think we've all had this experience, you're sitting at your computer screen and somebody walks up and starts talking to you, and 10 seconds later they're not getting a response, and all of a sudden you go, that's hypnosis. You put yourself into a trance. Whether you're concentrating or daydreaming, you've put yourself into a trance. Road hypnosis, if anybody knows a truck driver, or if you've ever taken a long trip by yourself and you don't have anybody to talk to, and you're listening to the music and the heat's on, and you're like, yeah. And all of a sudden you're 50 miles down the road and you don't remember how you got there, that's hypnosis, and that's what I do. Only the hypnosis that I do is facilitated, rather than letting the road lull you into a complete sense of, well, whatever it lulls you into, trance, I guess. I facilitate that. So hypnosis, number one, is a completely natural state. Number two is something that you enter into several times a day without even really knowing that you're doing it. And it's voluntary, which shocks a lot of people when I say hypnosis is completely voluntary, and they say, but I went to this thing, I had somebody that works here actually ask me about this. I went to this thing at the Clarion on New Year's Eve, and Jim Wand got all these people up there and made them cluck like chickens and made them, you know. The important thing to remember about hypnosis is context. If you come to me and say, I want to quit smoking, we've already set the context of that relationship, right? You're coming to me for a very serious purpose of quitting smoking. When people go to a hypnosis show, they know the context is, I'm going to be entertained, and whether you go up there or not, the context is different. So, you know, if you were to come to me and say, I need help losing weight, you're not going to walk out and say, oh, there's a candy bar. You know, it just, that's not in the context of that relationship. So, I mean, I could. If you came to me and said, every time I see candy bar, I want to cluck like a chicken, no problem. You know, 15 minutes and it's done. But I have not had that request yet, just so you know.
Just so here would like. Mary would love to do that.
Yeah. Well, Mary is a unique case.
Yeah, I know. She's the exception.
Thinking about doing a case study just on
yeah,
her.
I know.
So, hypnosis, once you get past the formal parts, the induction, you know, you've seen somebody go up on stage and all of a sudden they clap their hands and they slump over in their chair. Once you get past that induction, that formal entrance into hypnosis, hypnosis is a lot about visualization. And is there anybody in the room who's been under hypnosis before? Anybody? Okay. Oftentimes, the hypnotist will ask you to visualize something. So, in a deepening sequence, they might say, visualize yourself walking down a set of stairs. And with every stair you walk down, you go 10 times deeper, right? Or they might send you on a short trip. Imagine yourself at a beach. Imagine yourself doing your favorite thing. And if you were in a clinical setting with me, I would ask you, what are some of your favorite activities? So I could use those. But it's about visualization. And so we're going to cover in today's talk a lot of visualizations that you can use to change what you want to change. And I have a handout that I'll give you guys at the end, and it's got 4 topics on it. And you guys have to know that when so I've been doing hypnosis in some form or another since I was 14. And it's one of those things where you think about, and you've got friends like this where you've heard the friends say, well, I have this hobby, and then I turned it into a business because somebody said, oh my God, you should sell that, right? And all of a sudden they have this huge business, and it was one of those light bulb moments for me. About a year ago, I was searching for something on YouTube, and one of the related videos in the sidebar was a hypnosis video. And it was like, I watched it and I was like, people will pay for that? And so I have gone and gotten some additional, more formal training to do it on other people, because I practiced self-hypnosis for a long time. But I am a skeptic about everything. People need to prove to me that this works, right? So things like Zig Ziglar, right? And people swear by it, and other people say, oh, that's crap. Have you listened to that? It's crap, right? Because they don't practice the visualizations. And hypnosis is the same way. I get emails all the time that say, my wife needs to quit smoking, can you help her? No, I can't, because if she has not visualized herself as a non-smoker, I can't force that change. And it's the same way with those sorts of products. So you go and you buy the Zig Ziglar course thinking, I'm just going to listen to this, it's going to make me a great salesman. No, it's not. Because you don't practice, you don't visualize. Okay? So I have a couple of visualization exercises built into the talk, and we're going to go through one right now. So if you would like to participate, go ahead and follow the instructions. If you just want to eat, go ahead and just eat. But go ahead and sit straight up in your chair. And put your hand out like this. And then take a deep breath, and on the exhale, close your eyes. Okay? So go ahead and have your hand out in front of you like you're going to receive something from me. And now I want you to visualize that I'm dropping a lemon drop candy into your hand. Like the ones you get at the movie theater. I'm dropping that right there into your hand right now. And just take a look at it. Take a look at the taste, the texture. You know how it's got that powder on the outside of it? And when I clap my hands, go ahead and pop that candy right into your mouth now. And let it melt on your tongue. And feel the lemon melting on your tongue, that sour, sour outside coating. And notice how as you roll the candy back and forth on your tongue, that sour coating evaporates and that taste gets stronger. So strong, in fact, that you can almost smell it in the back of your nose. And then notice how as you continue to roll that candy back and forth on your tongue, that sour coating dissolves. And now you've got the sweet, sweet taste of sugar and lemon on your tongue. And just allow that to roll back and forth in your mouth for a second. That's right. And now, when I clap my hands, you'll be wide awake. 1, 2, 3, wide awake. Okay? How many of you salivated during that exercise? Yeah? Isn't that incredible?
I smell lemons.
Mm-hmm.
I smell it in my nose.
Yeah.
That's really good.
That is, if you were at a stage hypnosis show, I might use that to find out who the good subjects were. But in this context, that shows you the power of your own mind. I never walked more than 5 feet from where I am right now. I never touched anybody. But using just my description and your knowledge of what lemon candy tastes like, you were able to visualize that so much that you got a physical response from it. And that, I think, is amazing. Just a very simple demonstration of the power of your own mind. And you don't have to have a show of hands for this if you don't want to, but how many of you have a good luck charm? And in your conscious mind, there are two parts of your mind, by the way, the conscious and the subconscious. And the conscious deals with everyday things like if I were to walk up to a random person, say, take your shoes off. Your conscious mind is the part of your mind that evaluates whether or not that's a good idea. And that's what we bypass in hypnosis. Hypnosis is nothing more than an elevated state of altered consciousness where you're susceptible to suggestion. It's not magic, it's not voodoo, right? Your subconscious doesn't have that critical factor. And so when we bypass that and we give the subconscious suggestions, they're much more likely to be followed. Okay. Now that good luck charm that you have, that rabbit's foot or that lucky coin, whatever it may be, represents something to your subconscious. Your subconscious makes a change in your thought processes based on that thing you're holding in your hand, right? And so we know that when you pick up that rabbit's foot, it doesn't shoot out a magical ray of sunshine that magically is going to make you win the lottery, right? But it makes a change in your mental, in your process, okay? That same process can be triggered without a good luck charm. In fact, you could do it if you have one and you left it at home just by thinking of that good luck charm. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some very specific circumstances when, I don't care what good luck charm you have, it doesn't work, like lottery tickets, right? You could buy a whole roll of scratch-offs and say, I'm going to have every $30,000 winner in this roll. It doesn't work because that is a game of chance. And so that good luck charm, like my mom has a coin she always uses to scratch off her lottery tickets because she's convinced it makes them winners. But in that context, it's just the feeling you get from using that object, right? There's no change that can make those lottery tickets magically lucky. But it's that context which allows you to achieve something. I used to sell cars, and I had a salesman who had a picture of his daughters in a frame that they made for him, like out of macaroni and glitter and, the kind of stuff, right? And every time he sat down with a customer, he would touch the side of that frame because that represented to him the fact that he needed to sell this car to make money to feed his daughters, right? And that thought process doesn't always spool out like that, but that's what it represented to him. But that feeling comes from repetition. Right? You don't just buy this 99-cent rabbit's foot at some truck stop, and all of a sudden it's your lucky charm, right? It's the feeling that you associate with that lucky charm that makes it important. And you can use that in your everyday life. So a lot of people come to me and say, can you make me ... And the answer is no. Again, going back to the stage context, I could make you bark like a dog or whatever. But the context is that you would do those things because they're entertainment. But if you come to me and you don't really want to stop smoking or you don't really want to lose weight, I can't force your subconscious to make you lose weight. The people come to a positive goal, a positive mindset, by telling themselves over and over there's something that they want to or need to do. I want to lose weight. I want to be healthy. I want to lose weight. I want to be healthy. I want to be a non-smoker, right? I don't care what your motivation is. If it's health, if it's because you've got a whole bunch of clothes where you were skinny and you don't want to buy new clothes. I don't care what your motivation is. It's that repetition and that positive mindset. That's why when you go buy a Zig Ziglar tape, welcome to 1993, CD, MP3, what do the instructions say? Put this in the cassette player or the CD player or on your MP3 player and listen to it over and over. I don't know if you guys have ever heard the saying, the first time is chance, the second time's a choice, and the third time's a habit. But it's that same scenario. If you consciously do something 3 times, it can become a habit, right? Visualization is important, no matter what your goal is. A lot of people visualize by making lists. And if that works for you, keep doing it. Now, a lot of people come to me and say, I'm just not a good visualizer, right? I've listened to this, or I see my goal in my head, but I can't, or I know what my goal is, but I can't see it in my head. You can make yourself a good visualizer. It takes training, positive mindset, and commitment. But put yourself in an environment, say an empty room, in your head, and then go say, I'm going to sit here and imagine this room until I can smell the cookies wafting in from the kitchen, right? And that triggering of your sense is a visualization, right? If you remember back to the lemon drop test, it was all a visualization. And then work on extending that. I am going to not only smell the cookies, I'm going to see the rays of sunshine coming in from the window over there. And then I'm going to feel the texture of the furniture underneath me. And visualize the same scenario over and over until you can actually say definitively, I smelled the cookies, I saw the light, I felt the furniture. You can train yourself to visualize even if you aren't a very good visualizer now, right? And not being a good visualizer does not mean you're not a good hypnotic subject, by the way. I had an engineer from Rockwell come to me for something and said, I'm very analytical. And I can't, you know, this whole process just has my mind boggled. And I'm like, well, you know, the first part of the process is very easy and it takes about 20 seconds. And he was a great subject. But not being able to visualize doesn't mean you're not a good hypnotic subject. What it means is that there are other ways that we have to go about certain things. So training yourself to visualize is one of them. Feeding back things. So if Jane came to me and said, I want to feel happy whenever I see the color red, right? I would ask her specific questions about red that make her feel happy. That's a gross generalization, but you understand what I'm saying. So if you create within yourself a continuous feedback loop, that whenever you see the color red, this thing happens and you make it happen, eventually it becomes second nature. It's also the same reason why schools invent all these modern study methods, right? The one that we had when I was in school was the SQ3R, survey, question, read, recite, review. And you say it, you repeat it over and over until it becomes a natural part of you. And that is how you make positive changes in your life. Now, I posed a question at the outset about luck, and whether you consider yourself a lucky or an unlucky person, or whether you know someone who is always lucky. Now, there was a study done in the UK on the question of, is luck sort of a thing you have, or is it something you do? And this guy studied 4,000 people over several years, and his conclusion was, yes, you make your own luck. Now, there are some interesting experiments in this study. For example, he gave everybody a newspaper, and his only instruction was, count the number of pictures in this newspaper. And there were 43, by the way. But on page 4 of the newspaper, in half-page print, it said, stop if you see this and tell the proctor, and he'll give you $100, or 100 pounds. The unlucky people didn't notice that, and they kept reading. Well, on the 10th page, there was a big note that said, stop reading, there are 43 pictures, tell the proctor and he'll give you $250, pounds. The unlucky people didn't see that. And they went all the way to the end of the newspaper and said there are 43 pictures, and they didn't get any money. Right? The sort of lucky people saw the $100 message and stopped reading because they were getting $100. But the lucky people wondered if there was something more in that paper, and they kept reading until they found the $250 message. Now, a lot of people tend to view their circumstances as, well, let me pose this in the form of a question. If you fell down the stairs, you get home tonight, you fall down the stairs and break your leg, how many of you think that's unlucky? Right, in a certain circumstance it is, but you could have broken your neck. And lucky people and positive people tend to view things in that lens. Well, yeah, I broke my leg, but I could have broken the neck, right? There's only a few more severe consequences than that, right? So changing the way you focus on your problems makes you more lucky. Now, there are people, unlucky people tend to be very rational. I am one of those people. I am one of those people that sits down and makes lists of pros and cons, right? Without ever looking at how any given situation makes me feel. Lucky people tend to look at the circumstance, the problem, the opportunity, and say, well, here are the pros and cons, but damn, it would feel good if I did that, right? And in that way, generate more opportunities for themselves. One of the exercises that this gentleman had people do is to pick a criteria, and next time you're at a social function, use that criteria to meet new people. So one guy decided, I'm going to introduce myself to everybody at this party that wears the color blue. And, it has to be the right kind of function. I mean, if you go to a party for your friends going away, and you're introducing, to all these people that are going away, you're not going to generate any opportunity from people who aren't going to be. But if you go to a business function, or a personal function where there may be opportunity for you to advance something in your life, pick criteria. I'm going to introduce myself to everybody who has blonde hair. I'm going to introduce myself to everybody that's wearing brown shoes. And just see what comes up. Lucky people tend to make their own chance, if that makes sense. And so you can also make your own chance. Now, a lot of people say, I'm just too timid to go to a party, and and I'll just sit there and I'll drink my Jack and Coke. That's my favorite beverage. And I'll just, I'll wait for people to introduce themselves to me. Lucky people tend to view things in the harm or no harm scenario. What's the harm if I walk up to this lady sitting in front and say, hi, I'm Corey? Right? There's no harm in that. Now, if she's got a gun, you never know, right? If she's waving the gun around, you know. And then you're unlucky because there's somebody with a gun at Yellow Bucket. But in most contexts, are you ever going to bring harm on yourself or your situation by introducing yourself to somebody? No. There's no being timid or not being timid about it. So I thought this was interesting. So I copied a paragraph of this report to read verbatim because this research is interesting. Unlucky people often fail to follow their own intuition when making a choice, whereas lucky people tend to respect their hunches. Lucky people are interested in both how they think and how they feel about various options, rather than simply just looking at the rational side of the situation. I think this helps because gut feelings react as an alarm bell, and it tells you to consider a gut feeling carefully. Unlucky people tend to be creatures of routine. They tend to take the same route to and from work and talk to the same types of people at parties. And in contrast, many lucky people tend to introduce variety naturally into their lives. Lucky people, and this is what we were talking about with the leg broken thing, lucky people tend to see the positive sides of bad situations. They imagine how things could have been worse. And that, I think, is really important. So, how can you use the topics in this talk to make positive changes for you? First of all, decide you want to make a positive change. Nothing comes to people who have made no decisions. I want to lose weight. Great. Say that 10 times a day. Every time you get up to talk to your supervisor, every time you take your hand off your mouse, I want to lose weight. And in 3 days, that's now a goal for your subconscious. There's also the 21-day rule, but that's been around forever, and actually, first time's a chance, second time's a choice, third time's a habit. So make that choice and ingrain that choice in your head. And a lot of people say, that's crap. They're saying something to yourself over and over. You can't. It works. It works. And like I said, I am the most skeptical person you will ever meet about everything. But it works because your subconscious takes it to heart. Your conscious mind is still going, but your subconscious is going, oh crap, I gotta lose weight. And once that decision's made, all that's left is for your conscious and your subconscious to come into agreement. And your subconscious always wins. Always. That's why you can come to me and I can hypnotize you and say, you currently weigh 250 pounds. This is no longer healthy or safe. You should weigh 190 pounds. That's what's best and healthiest and safest. And your subconscious goes, oh crap, I've been doing things wrong. This 250 pound thing's not working. We gotta do whatever's necessary to get to 190 pounds. And your conscious mind doesn't have a say. And it works the same way with goals and changes in your life. Once that's ingrained in your subconscious, your conscious mind doesn't have anything to say about it. Okay? There's a technique that, to me, sounds completely dumb, but I've used it and it works. Negative people, of which I am one, I'm not nearly as bad as my sister, she's Jesus. But negative people tend to already assume things won't work. So when you get that message that says, well, you can't lose weight, say, in your mind, say, thank you, but that's no longer valid. I know it sounds weird. And the first few times you do it, you're going to laugh at yourself and say, I can't believe I just said that to myself. But that cancels out the negative expectation of that thought. And that's what's really important to your subconscious. Thank you, but that's no longer valid. Very simple. Create goal cards. So they did another study about people saving money. People say, well, if it's in the bank, I can transfer it back with my ATM card, and I'll never not spend it because I know it's in the bank and I can just hit a button and transfer it, right? And so some people will say, take $50 out of your ATM and put it in an envelope at home. Well, that envelope at home is still easily accessible. So what you do, say you're saving for a vacation to the most magical place on earth. It's my favorite vacation destination, so I always use this one. Take a picture of Disney World and paste it to the front of the envelope. That way, every time you reach to borrow $20 from that envelope, you visualize yourself on that vacation. And then the hand comes away. Right? Because now you're not taking money from an envelope, you're taking money from your vacation, and you really want to go.
You're taking it from Mickey.
Right. Two other things. Get out of your comfort zone. Change the route you drive to work. Change the gas station you stop at. Change the things you do every night. If you go to a bar for a drink during happy hour, change the bar. Because you're changing your circumstance, you're changing the people you associate with. And that opens up opportunity. And the last thing is trust your intuition. Because many people look at the positives and negatives without trusting their gut. And if you do those things, your subconscious, the part that you don't have any conscious control over, the part that you don't hear, will make those changes for you.